Yo, 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 new day, new day. I have just gotten over my hangover. I don't know if I want to call it a hangover. It wasn't that bad actually. I was just tired as hell. But I have now finally begun watching The Legend of Korra, which is just it's a sequel. It's a sequel to Avatar: The Last Airbender, of course. Like, you know, a good lifetime after the events of everything that happened, and we're just like, you know, getting slowly introduced to, first of all, the new Avatar, meaning most likely than not, more likely than not, Aang is just dead. Aang is gone, which is fine. I didn't expect him to be alive. Especially knowing that this was going to be about the new Avatar. But we get introduced to the new Avatar. A girl named Korra from the Water Tribe, and she's just been fucking bend-maxing her entire life. But we also get introduced to like this city called, I think, shit, I just got off watching it. I think it's just called the Republic. Or the Republican City or something like that, which is just like I don't know, a metropolis paradise essentially, like one of the Fire Nation colonies. I'm pretty sure the intro says all the Fire Nation colonies have just been, you know, made into like, you know, essentially like paradises, but you know there are issues boiling under the surface, as we can already see in the first episode, and we get told a lot about, you know, the issues there. And the main reason that Aang's son, Tenzin, he's basically the only actual, you know, good airbender left. So of course he's gonna be the one to teach the new Avatar, Korra, but he can't really do that, he says, because he has to keep a lid on everything going on in the city. Not that we really get to know what it is. I don't know. We get a taste at least of what the issues are, which I really do enjoy, because it feels like, yeah, this is a realistic take on like what would happen after, you know, because basically Avatar: The Last Airbender, you know, the entire thing we had there was just a world of like different nations going to war over, like, they're at each other. Wow, okay, my bad, damn. They are at each other's throats constantly, and you know, this is more so just like they post-war trying to build a society. But how do you build a society? You know, I don't expect Aang to have made the perfect world, but he has clearly made many good steps towards it. He's also just like modernized a bunch of like everything. I expect that to be from the not the airbenders, but the air nomad, you know, the guy in the wheelchair that was flying around in The Last Airbender. His like whole shtick and his dad's whole shtick were like, they are, mainly his dad is like, they are like inventors. They invented the airships, for example, that were used in the war and then used against them in the war eventually. So I could see him being used for, like, probably just, like, I don't even know, like, what position would that be? Just, like, head of science, I guess? We get introduced to, like, you know, different people that we know as children are, like, in, you know, as the classical style in the sequels tend to be. I kinda, without realizing it probably, I correlate this to, correlate? Fuck. Relate? Not, fuck, shit. I see this the same way I see Boruto, compared to Naruto, which is, Not really in the best of light, but I have been, you know, starting Boruto also, reading the manga just at work when I have nothing to do. Then I read like you know, a couple pages here, a couple pages there. So it's a slow burn, definitely. It's not something I will actively pursue, you know, but just to... That's also kind of the point, is when I'm at work, I just kind of sit back and... You know, I am prepared to drop what I'm doing and actually begin to work again if the need arises, because I am such a good employee. That also brings me to fucking yesterday when I was at work, when I was just like doing my shtick, doing my thing. The guys had to like quickly pull me aside when I came back from doing something, and said, "Yo, fucking chill out, brother. You do not need to do everything." Which is like, I was just doing what I see those guys, what I see the other guys doing. I'm just doing what needs to be done, you know. So I don't know if I'm like, their standards are just that low for their workers. I'm basically just like a fucking substitute guy, you know, basically. So, like, are all the other fucking the guys that usually come in, covers shifts, are they that bad, or am I just that good? I am willing to stroke my own ego and say, yeah, I am just goated and built different. So that's pretty funny. Why was that relevant? I don't really know. Oh well, I lost my train of thought. Let's get back to Korra. First of all, I would, let's start outside of Korra for a second. I would like to, fucking thank my older sister for, showing me a goated pirating website for just, I'm not gonna gatekeep it, but I don't really have my, the text chat up right now, so when I do get a break, I will pull it up. But it's essentially just like a pirating hub, where you can find fucking anything for, like, you know, both movies and series and, you know, fucking reading books and shit. Let me get a second here. What's it called? What was it called? FMHY. Just search FMHY onto Google. Take the first link and that will probably be the right one. It's basically just a hub of, like, I think it is actually, it looks remarkably a lot, you know, like just a GitHub website, but it's basically a hub for, like, it's a middleman where you can find a hell of a lot of pirating websites. So I'll be using that a lot, because I couldn't really find Korra anywhere else. Wherever I searched, I couldn't find it. My usual go-to sites just didn't really have it, or they did have it, but they wouldn't let me enter. Might just be a skill issue, but essentially all the other normal sites were like, I don't know, fucking Netflix had it, but they took it down for some reason. I think the same with Paramount, but I don't even have access to Paramount anyway. But you know, otherwise I would have to pay for it, watching it, or I would have to go the Nana route, where I would be just like watching it on like through basically compilations on YouTube, on some scuffed YouTube channel. That probably would have worked, because the first like couple of minutes that I watched is the exact same as the first couple of minutes as, you know, the first episode that I actually watched on a somewhat legitimate website. So that probably would have worked, but I just feel like it's kind of very extremely scuffed to watch it that way. Reminds me that I need to watch Nana, you know, actually complete it instead of just dropping it. But I only watch it on YouTube. I guess I could pull it up on this, now that I have this pirating website app. Because essentially I just ran into the same issue. I couldn't find Nana anywhere. reliably. So, yeah, that's probably something I'm gonna do. Also because Nana is probably way shorter than Korra. Korra is like apparently 4 seasons. I got like a quick little review from my sister. Unwanted review, but a review anyway, that the first couple of, like, overall, Korra is supposed to be like, yeah, a sequel to Avatar, but it's like, Obama, Finder. Like, the highs of Korra are way higher, or at least even higher than Avatar's. And the lows are also even lower, so like, I don't know, there weren't like a lot of lows in Avatar, I gotta be honest, but I gotta be honest, I also could easily see the the highs being higher, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Hopefully I do, I explained that very poorly, but the highs are higher, the lows are lower. But so far, it's pretty good. I could see it being, like, better, but I like it so far. I got a review that said, like, Season 1, kinda mid, Season 2, kinda mid, Season 3, peak, Season 4, really good. So, yeah, that is the review that my sister gave me. We'll come back and see how accurate that is. I might have just lied. I might not be back with a review. I mean, we do have a time limit now. The 4th of September is gonna be the release of Silksong. Of course, I have a lot of runs to catch up on, so I'll probably continue after Silksong just to, you know, complete the, you know, leave no stone unturned. Probably, possibly. But let's get back to Korra. Let's get back to this world, because I really do like the world that Korra takes place in. Just like first impressions, I've only watched these 2 episodes here, where we get introduced to, again, Korra, this like fucking like early development muscle mommy of an air not an airbender, actually, especially not an airbender. Avatar, the new Avatar is, like, has basically mastered, or at least is very proficient in all 3 other bendings. We see, just like, immediately, off-rip. She can waterbend, of course, she's a waterbender, she has learned earthbending, and she has learned firebending, just like, from like 3 years old, it seems. Like in a flashback, she could like very poorly, but she could do all 3 bendings, but not airbending. And that, of course, you know, goes back to everything that happened in, you know, everything we get told about bending. Like, you know, the natural, you have to be naturally compatible with the bending styles, and that's why there's only one avatar, because not, you know, only the avatar can be proficient in all 4 elements. And basically air is like the last one she needs, of course, but it's the bending of like peace and freedom, and, you know, basically, you know, patience. I get, no, not patience. Patience is earth, but like I don't know, a lot of them overlap, I feel like. That's a thing. I would like more explanation on, like, the types of bendings, but I hope we'll get that here, but probably we won't, because she already kind of mastered the other 3. It's not like Aang, where we follow around. It's kind of the opposite of Aang, actually. Also because airbending is the last one Korra needs to learn. But another thing, the thing I want to focus more so on than the, you know, the bending styles and whatnot, is this, like, society that has been built, this big metropolis, what was it called, Republic City or something, which is very exciting to just, like, go around and explore. I really like what I've seen so far. Granted, it's not, like, a lot, but we, like, see the city from the perspective of basically of us. Like, we haven't been introduced to it yet. We don't know what it is, and we are used to just like, small towns scattered here and there. And it's great. It's fun just looking into like the inner workings of the city, because they do kind of show us at least like a snippet of the inner workings. We see, for example, Toph's daughter being like the, I don't know, police chief or whatever. Pretty cool, pretty awesome. Also how metal bending has like been passed down somewhat. I don't know, they use some sort of contraption, almost like Boruto. They use a contraption to metal bend instead of learning it themselves. That's how I see it, at least, just because I know, how Boruto handles it. That's how I see it. Rosa. But I don't know how accurate that is. I don't know either, like, how into it we're gonna get. Is metal bending now on equal footing as, like, something like fire bending? Are we gonna have an arc where Korra learns metal bending? I don't know. I guess it's like a subsection of earthbending, so I guess to truly master earthbending, you have to master metal bending as well, right? So I guess we'll wait and see. I don't even know if Toph is still alive. I hope so. I like Toph. I would just like to see like the old gang again. But I don't know if I'm allowed to. I don't know if they're all just gone and dead. We see Katara in the Water Tribe village where Korra comes from. And she is kind of relevant because they both know, like, both Korra and Tenzin know Katara, because fucking Tenzin is the son of Katara and Aang, which is pretty cool. It makes a lot of sense, but it also hasn't really still answered, like, is bending like bound to your genes or whatever the fuck? Like, how do benders like come to be? Oh, that was a horrible place to fucking shit. Yeah, no, that was horrible. We have days to catch up on. I can do another. So, yeah, the main other thing I really enjoy is just watching the city like unfold before me, because the city the city has problems, as I mentioned. The biggest problem being the basically the clash between benders and non-benders, which is pretty cool to see. Like, all the Aang has made this entire like thing to make make benders fucking behave. But then again, you need someone to enforce like everything that's happening, and those enforcers are, so far we've seen them use a lot of metal bending. So like all the people enforcing the rules and whatnot are benders. So it would make sense if there was an uprising by the non-benders, and then the benders, of course, yeah, they have bending, but it's not really their fault. But I guess it's their fault on how they use the bending. But there's a whole, I don't know, I don't really know how to comment on this yet, because I don't know enough about the city yet. But what I do know a decent amount of is the fighting tournament, the bending arena fights. They had some sort of special cool name, I forgot. But it's just cool to see. Like, it's basically like a, I see this kind of like a D&D town, city. Like, how would a city revolving around magic, or in this case like bending, how would it work? Like, combining benders and non-benders, and yeah, of course there would be some sort of like fighting arena where you can, in a peaceful way, of course, you can watch these benders like fucking you can watch them bend. It's pretty cool. It's pretty awesome. I like the different, like, fighting styles, I guess. I don't know. It feels kind of gimmicky, but I do like the arena and everything going on. There. I kind of do expect some sort of, like, tournament arc now that in episode 2 here, Korra actually joins one of the fighter gangs, one of the fighting teams, and you know there's some tension there, you know, not really tension, but it's pretty funny to see how they interact with it, because usually these benders only have one form of bending, so like they just have to make up rules like on the spot, because now suddenly the Avatar, who can use fucking several bending styles, is suddenly very overpowered. So that's something, right? But also just how they fight is really interesting, because it's very clear that the people who made this, they have thought about how would the different, like, benders, how would they fight and how would they go about this. Like, these guys have been bend fighting for a long time. You can definitely feel that. And it's great. I love that aspect. But also just trying to figure out the rules to this game. Again, I feel like these first couple episodes at least does a really good job of just showing us the world, showing us this brand new city full of, like, things we don't really know how it works. They show it from Korra's perspective, and we then, I don't know, I guess we relate more to her. I don't really know how it works, but it does work. I feel way more connected to her because we have basically the same experiences here. We're trying to explore a city that we expect to work one way, but it's just like throwing us for loops, like every single turn we take, and it's really fun. But what's also fun is just watching Korra basically not really wanting to learn airbending, but you know, doing so anyway through these arena fights. Because all the training, she basically came to the city. She basically fled her own city in order to come to this big city to train with Tenzin. Tenzin didn't want, at least right now, didn't want to train Korra just because there's been like so much uproar and shit in the city. But I guess, you know, in the end, having the Avatar here to help with that could help with that. Yeah, great explanation. Good job. God, I hate Gorb. So, yeah, basically they begin the training, and Korra does not know how the fuck to airbend whatsoever, which I really do like because it matches her personality a lot. She is very unlike Aang. I can't really decide if she is unlike Aang or if she's like, you know, she is like Aang but at the start of the series and she's gonna develop just like Aang, because at the start of the series Aang was very much like a, you know, he was a child. Even though he was the Avatar and he knew he was the Avatar, he knows he is pretty powerful. He does not take anything seriously. Where I guess Korra does take this like way more seriously because she knows how big of an impact the Avatar can have. Or I guess Aang did know this as well. I don't know, I'm trying to compare the two like at every step I can, but I don't know if I should. Or if I should just see them as two completely, you know, completely different separated characters, but they're not really separated. Like, we know that she's basically the reincarnation of Aang, just as Aang was the reincarnation of, what's the guy's name? The last Avatar, the last Avatar before Aang. What's his name? I wanna say Rengoku, but that is not right. No, it's because it's Roku. Okay, Rengoku, Roku. You can see the similarities. God damn, am I getting clapped by Dunk Defender? This is embarrassing. You know, all avatars are reincarnations of each other, basically, and I hope we get more lore about the avatar. I hope we just get more lore in general, because there's a lot of things I've missed about, like, you know, the, also, for example, the ending of Avatar. Like, for example, a big question I have is the you know, Zuko's mother. Like, where was she? Because I'm expecting us to find out at some point, because there was like in the first time basically we see Katara, she meets her grandchildren, and they excitedly go up to her because they are grandchildren, and they want to hear the magnificent stories of you know, they were apparently left with a cliffhanger, kind of like us, on like what happened with Zuko's mother, because we last we see of her, I guess the last we hear of her is Zuko going down to the prison, you know, confronting his father, previous Fire Lord Osai, and wanting to figure out what happened to his mother. Oh hell yeah. And we don't get an answer, and we have not gotten an answer yet. But this little line that then gets cut off for, I don't know, plot reasons, I suppose, is, just, you know, it's just cool to see that they acknowledge this missing piece of info, and it gives me hope that this show is gonna actually answer all of these questions. What I also hope is gonna be answered, I guess it's just gonna, you know, it's just a, you know, go watch the show, asshole, problem. You know, I really want to know what happens with Korra, since everybody and their fucking grandma on the internet, and, you know, my siblings, everybody is agreeing that Korra is the worst fucking avatar ever. And she destroyed everything Aang built up, or like she destroyed the world basically. Like how does that happen? Especially when she is our main character. Like, yeah, I heard things about this, but I kind of expected, you know, Korra to either be like a flashback character, then we follow the avatar that was after Korra, or like Korra was basically the Zuko of this show. But no, Korra is the fucking main character. Like, how do we deal with that? How do we deal with our main character, like, fucking up the world? But I guess that is why the later seasons, I've been told, are like way better. That could be a huge reason why. I did not hit a single fucking streak on that guy. That sucks. So I'm assuming that's why. Is like, you know, we get into complexer stuff in the later seasons. I expect also just a lot of the earlier seasons are just gonna be like, basically like street thugs, street mafia gang is messing up the city, and they have to resolve that somehow. But I'm very intrigued on how it will be solved, because it's not a situation like Aang, where there is, presumably not at least, where there is like one big bad guy that we have to beat, and then everything will be alright. No, it's like the system is flawed. The system of, you know, the benders just being like physically superior and being the enforcers of the city compared to the non-benders. Like, how do we deal with that? This is why I would love to see somebody like Sokka back, because he has a lot of experience in the, you know, basically being not really equal to to the other guys, to like Aang and Toph and whatnot, but like he is at least in the conversation when it comes to like how did they defeat the Fire Nation's invasion of I guess the entire world. How did they stop them? Sokka was a huge part of that. So how would he react? How would he be involved in this city? If he even is involved in the city? If he's dead now and have left some sort of legacy behind? Like, what sort of legacy is there to leave behind? I don't know. But I'm kind of sad that we skipped the, like, immediate sequel to... That's why I kind of wanted an epilogue, not a sequel to the show. Because one thing I remember vividly is when they're fighting on the plane, Toph and Sokka, they basically... he loses his, like, meteor sword just, like, out in the middle of fucking nowhere. And, like, I would love to have just, you know, stayed with the gang for a while, you know, they split up on their own little adventures, maybe they stay together and just, like, you know, for example, go look for this sword of Sokka's that has just kind of been lost. Because at this point, I could see it being, like, some sort of legendary treasure to somebody. Maybe it is a plot point that somebody has found this sword and, like, oh, but you are not worthy to wield it or something like that. But I don't know. I don't really know. I don't know what to expect from The Legend of Korra. I don't even know, like, how long it is. Like, how do these things work? Are they 12 episodes or, like, 24 episodes? Or should I not look at it from, like, an anime perspective? Or are they just, like, a random, like, 15 episodes long, the seasons? Are the seasons not consistently long? I don't know how it works. I don't know how much content I should expect. And I also don't really know if there is, like, an epilogue. If all my answers are just stored away somewhere in this, like, cool little package that I have yet to uncover, that was entirely my own fault, actually. I don't really know, but I would like to find out. Hopefully there is an answer, and I'm not just, like, rambling into the infinity. There are also, like, just the general books that the entire series is based off of. I don't know if all of them have been, you know, adapted. I don't think so. There are a lot of, like, spin-off books and, you know, shit like that. So probably there are some answers to everything I have questioned. Probably, maybe, I don't know. Is there a sequel to Korra? Who knows? Again, I've only watched 2 episodes, so I'm probably just gonna jump right back on that when I get the chance here in just a sec. But for now, that is I suppose that is all I have done today. Just to watch some Korra and try to get over my tiredness / hangover, I suppose. Dosa. What are my plans for today, though? It is just bro hangout time, I guess. It's been a while since we both had just a day off. I know it's like the weekends and stuff, but you know, it still counts as a day off, right? So probably just gonna hopefully play some Sea of Thieves with that guy, with bro. Maybe not. Probably just, you know, slamming a couple 1 or 2 or 15 beers down me gullet, eat some kebab for dinner, and play some more Sea of Thieves. I don't know, I just need some time off to just, you know, a couple days where I have to do nothing. I just dashed into, like, the fucking gutter. That was probably the worst type of damage. I have no one else to blame this on. I'm just playing poorly today. I don't know what's going on. I can usually fucking no-brain the sisters, but I can't today. Did I also lose to sisters last time? I think so. Damn, this sucks. This really sucks. I don't want to have to concentrate on any fights. But I guess that is impossible to do. I did not fucking hit that, and if I did, I should have pogoed on it. I did pogo on it. I pressed the fucking button. Is it the right button or am I schizo? It was the right button. Damn. I already know the copium comments are flying everywhere, but I do not care. That was bullshit. Anyway, gonna go catch myself some banana bread. Bye, gang.